Hi, I'm looking at a blog written by Jessica. Um, I think it's Jessica Smith. Day 10 I Cannot Speak. And the reason I wanted to discuss this blog in this vlog today is because the point that she wrote about is a point that I can really recognize within myself as what I have allowed myself to live out in my life, which is the point of apparently not being able to speak in like a social situation around people. And what Jessica did in her blog was write out all the points that happen in her mind in terms of physical and thoughts and her inner experiences, when she realized that this experience of not being able to speak is, it's not that she's actually not a victim of the situation, but that she has created it herself. I'm going to read a statement to show what she found. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to use and abuse this skill and technique to see into people for my own self-interest, to justify an excuse, to not communicate and speak with other beings, to not get to the core and origin on why and how I'm not investigating my own shit, to reacting to speaking to someone to the extent where I allow myself to accumulate the point further and hide and suppress the point, to not communicate and speak at all. Within this, seeing into other people became the perfect excuse for me to act special, more, and superior, for not facing myself to communicate and speak, and to spend hours and hours separating myself from everyone, to hide away from watching everyone from a safe distance for myself, to see human behavior for myself, to be prepared in a way of being rejected, and to not experience myself as unimportant, less, and inferior, because that was actually how I was experiencing myself. I now see, realize, and understand that me analyzing others was a competition to go out and judge everyone outside of me, to see points of myself that I'm not willing to embrace in myself, and will therefore continue doing anything possible to not face the point of facing myself within it as communication and speaking, but hide and suppress and remain behind the scenes in my own world and reality to avoid actually seeing how I'm experiencing myself. Unimportant, less, and inferior. Therefore, I allow myself to get back to the basics and investigate how I'm limiting myself on a day-to-day basis to become intimate with myself and accumulate self-trust slowly but surely. So, in that statement, she lays out how this character of not being able to speak around other people or to other people out of a fear of being judged actually originated from her within herself, placing herself as superior towards other people within observing and analyzing other people's behavior. And that's very interesting to see for me, because that's exactly what I've done in my life too. It's like I was the philosopher, the observer, and constantly thinking and constantly just watching people and looking at people, and within myself actually believing that I know who people are, and I know I can predict people's behavior, and I can predict people, and so I felt safe in my little cocoon of thoughts, and I felt superior. But what that manifested was a fear of actually expressing myself around people and simply living, because obviously this experience of and belief of superiority within myself would backfire wherein I now would assume that other people would judge me if I were to say something, because in essence it has always been me judging other people the whole time through observing and analyzing, and wherein I literally place myself within my mind above other people, like I'm God in some way, looking down on creation and knowing everything and everyone, which basically enabled me to simply live and speak and express and be. So while I was experiencing myself as the victim, in fact I was sabotaging myself, and I was actually the abuser by placing myself above everybody else, by judging everybody else, basically. So that's why I really like Jessica's blog, because, you know, it's like this character, it's this personality that certain people in this world simply live out as who they believe themselves to be. So it's fascinating to see that someone else has actually lived out the exact same thing as how I was always experiencing myself. So this is simply a program. It's not who I am, it's not who she is, it's not who any of us are, really. It's just a program of the mind that exists within energetic reactions to our environment, and it's just limiting us from actually living and expressing ourselves and just being here. So for those who are familiar with what I just described, that experience of not being able to speak or not being able to express yourself, or fear of people or fear of social situations, I would recommend to read Jessica's blog, because she shares her insight in how the mind actually works as that specific program, and how we are in fact not the victim of that program, of that fear, but the creator of it. So go and have a look. Thanks.